Extraordinary story emerging from the US about the lengths the government, the Biden Harris administration, went to cover up factual information during the COVID pandemic. Now, I was one of the people who was heavily impacted by this because I spoke the truth about the lab leak, about the vaccine, about lockdowns, about the mandates, and time and again, I was censored over that period. Well, Mark Zuckerberg, the boss of Meta, which of course owns Facebook, has now admitted in a bombshell letter that in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressure our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. He goes on. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. You should be more outspoken, Mark. Like the name of this show. But honestly, I have so many mixed feelings about this, Lewis Brackpool, because on the one hand, I think, hallelujah. Are we entering a new era of free speech? Has Elon Musk fundamentally now moved the Overton window with the ownership of X? Are we going to be safe to have more of these discussions right here on YouTube and not have to do it all in the Outspoken after show, for example? I have all of those questions. At the same time, I also think how pathetic and gutless now, coming out 3 years later and admitting you got this stuff wrong. Because I remember back in March 2020, when I was talking about the fact that COVID was probably leaked from a lab, and remember, no one or very few people were doing it in March 2020, all of my content on Facebook was censored.
Yeah, absolutely. Those were dark times, Dan, I
Mm-hmm.
must admit, and it's left a massive scar in a lot of people's lives as well, from
Big time.
lockdowns, mandates, censorship. We can take comfort to know that the truth will always reveal itself in the end. We can take comfort in that. It's just how long. And looking back, it was it was a big I can't I'm actually struggling to talk about it because it's just so horrific, this mass censorship that was pushed onto, well, it was worldwide completely, of course. I I'm a bit like you, Dan, if I'm totally honest. I'm very torn about this because on the one hand, I want to say finally the truth is out, finally that we can put that to rest and say, look, conspiracy theorists are right again. Um, but then the other hand, I just this anger comes back. This anger comes back of being let down and being betrayed once again by governments, by social media, the fact that he was even pressured by Biden and Harris to even do such a sinister thing. So I'm a bit like you. I'm very torn between the two, between anger and relief, and it's kind of a bit of a battle for me at the minute. So I don't really have a clear head to kind of answer that at the
No,
minute.
indeed. I completely feel the same. And especially, what about the poor folk that lost their livelihoods because they were censored or banned from YouTube,
And
which happened
arrested.
to a lot of people? I mean, yeah, indeed, arrested. Although, obviously, some of them have come out the other side even stronger. I think of Dan Bongino or Steve Bannon, folk like that who questioned the narrative over the COVID pandemic and actually found themselves deplatformed. The other really disturbing development is that Zuckerberg has admitted now that one of the reasons there was so much censorship around the Hunter Biden story in the run up to the 2020 election was because the FBI had warned them about a potential Russian disinformation operation. And the thing is, Russian disinformation is now blamed on everything. I mean, Tom, your leader, Nigel Farage, has been accused falsely, by the way, time and again of being a Russian asset. And it feels sometimes like the authorities hide specifically by this term, Russian disinformation, in order to effectively crush dissidents, to crush people who are challenging the narrative, or sometimes to crush an entire story, which is what happened with the Hunter Biden laptop. We obviously now know the guy's a convicted felon.
Absolutely, yeah. And the damage is done. I mean, when that accusation is made, the damage is already
Mm-hmm.
done. The interference in the election has already happened. The damage to Nigel's reputation has already happened. So to come out and apologize afterwards it is kind of pointless, really. And I don't actually even believe the apology. I just think
No.
they know exactly what they're doing, to be honest. And as you say, they're just trying to silence people.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And obviously as well, it's about why is he releasing this now to Jim Jordan, who is the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the US? Is it because more information was going to emerge showing the sorts of censorship that big tech agreed to give into? But I have to hold on to hope from this. I have to hold on to hope because right now we have Slippery Starmer in the UK, Lewis, considering strengthening Ofcom, the Ofcommunists, as I call them, literally a government censor, so that during, for example, the so-called riots, they would be able to legally force social media companies to take down information. Now, I believe Elon Musk will stand firm on that, even if it means X being banned in the UK, which would be completely dystopian. I certainly know Chris Pavlovsky, who's the chief executive of Rumble, he would hold firm. Actually, if Mark Zuckerberg is going to start pushing back against government censorship, it could be a really powerful tipping point that might change the narrative.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people have been very concerned about the online safety bill that was
Oh, yes.
pushed through and strengthens the off-communists' power
Mm-hmm.
with them changing the landscape of political discussion and other types of discussion online. It was sinister as well to watch the Metropolitan Police and even Good Morning Britain talk or debate the idea of completely shutting down social media whilst the riots was even happening. I don't suppose you remember that
Oh, I do. I
clip.
do. I
Um,
couldn't believe it. I actually played some of it on this show. It's like to even have the debate means that's where they're thinking. But look, Good Morning Britain, for example, the mainstream media in the UK, they were among the absolute worst during the COVID pandemic, and they made everything so much worse. And to this day, Tom, broadcasters like that have not given any time to the victims of the vax. For example, I know Reform UK is the only political party in the UK that has actually addressed the victims of the vax, has actually said, yes, we will hold an inquiry into it if we're in power. The rest of the mainstream media and the rest of the political establishment just want to pretend that there are no victims of the vax and move on. Let's not talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And what was once conspiracy now becomes fact.
Yes.
Of course, it's convenient that, suddenly they say, oh, well, maybe that was true. And there's no recourse. They come out with this apology and that, there's nothing that we can really do about it. We just have to say, oh, okay, so you were wrong and there are no consequences. But we all know that if somebody, posted something that was considered misinformation, that they're given a 2 to 3 year prison sentence. So,
Yeah, indeed, during the riots. And I would say the people who were banned over the COVID pandemic, they should now be restored to all of those social media platforms. Your leader, Tom Nigel Farage, did actually post on X about this. He said, I'm pleased to see Mark Zuckerberg coming clean about pandemic propaganda pushed onto Facebook by the government. We are not being told the truth about many things. And that's what's going to be interesting, isn't it, Lewis? What pressure, for example, was put on the social media platforms during the recent so-called riots? What was the government telling and the sort of state agencies telling them to do over that period? We have a right to know, don't we?
Of course. I mean, we saw it during the quote unquote pandemic where nudge units were sent out by the government
Mm-hmm.
to push people towards stuff like the experimental mRNA. And this is where it becomes extremely sinister when you have journalists as well, like Peter Hitchens, for example, who was even spied on by intelligence agencies
Yes.
and the nudge units, of course, really trying to have a go. You've got, of course, sinister organizations, dare I bring them up as well, the 77th Brigade that are part of the army, that are part of these nudge units and actually have a hand in discourse on social media. Um, of course, talking about that paints a bit of a target, but it has to be done. Um, but this is a sinister road that we've been on. I know we talk about how things are changing and things are going in a certain direction. We're already on that path,
Yes, yes.
unfortunately.
And we in the UK are going in the other direction. And that's why I absolutely believe this is really important. I know sometimes all of this feels a bit highfalutin. It feels like it's not connected to your day-to-day life. And I understand that, but actually it's so important, because without free speech, we have nothing. Without free speech, there probably would have been vaccine mandates where every single person in the country had to be jabbed multiple times. Without free speech, our lockdown would have gone on for years and years and years, because look at what happened in China without free speech. So this is an incredibly important issue. You won't hear many people discussing Mark Zuckerberg's letter today in the British mainstream media, and that's why I really wanted to do it here on Outspoken. But thank you to my brilliant superstar panel, Lewis Brackpool. I will put his YouTube page in my show notes later on tonight so that you can make sure that you go and subscribe to him. And Tom Bright, Reform UK candidate, great to have you on Outspoken for the first time. But first, you know I promised to talk to you on the show about products that are life-changing. This one's personal, but let me tell you guys, you're going to love it. And ladies, if you are looking for a present to treat your husband or boyfriend, this is a game changer. They will be so grateful to you. That's because men want our grooming routine to be a one and done deal. So the days of using the same trimmer for your face and your nether regions are over, thanks to my friends at Manscaped. They've come up with the ultimate package to keep you trimmed from 12 to 6. Today, let me talk to you about the Beard and Balls bundle, which features the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger. Now, I know when you say lawnmower, this is the type of thing you think of. But actually, I'm talking about a product that provides precision trimming for all areas, even the sensitive zones, that will get you manicured as that freshly cut grass. So I'm talking about a trimmer for the moneymaker, another for the boys downstairs. The trimmer gets it right the first time, being gentle on the skin in all your delicate places. With 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, you can choose between a precise trim or a smooth finish, and it's waterproof, so you can trim in the shower and not make a mess, which is perfect for those of us who appreciate efficiency. Next, let me tell you about the Beard Hedger. Whether you're going for a neat stubble or a full-on lumberjack look, it will keep you completely covered. There's a titanium-coated steel T-blade, 20 length options. You can achieve any style you want with just a twist of the zoom wheel. And just like the lawnmower, the Beard Hedger is also waterproof, so you can handle your beard grooming in the sink without worrying about water damage. It's got 60 minutes of runtime and LED charge indicator. You'll never be caught mid-trim with a dead battery. This is such a gentle product. I can guarantee you no more cuts. Plus, this will increase your confidence, actually. It really will. That is how good the product is. The really exciting news is today I can offer you 20% off and totally free shipping. I ordered some the other day. It comes very quickly, beautifully packaged. All you have to do is visit www.manscaped.com. Use the code Outspoken at the checkout. So once you've put all of your details in, then you use the Outspoken code and 20% comes off just like that. www.manscaped.com. No more juggling multiple tools or dealing with subpar results, just efficient, effective grooming wherever you need it for the premium grooming experience. Trust Manscaped. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.